Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi. You're listening to Midnight Movie Gang. I'm your primary host, Elsie Hines. My pronouns are he and him.
He and him.
He and him. Both of me. And I'm here with Courtney, who you are a co-host. You and Joseph are co-hosts.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, y'all are the regulars.
Residuals.
The residuals, yes.
Yeah.
Courtney.
Yeah.
What are your pronouns?
They, them.
Rock and roll.
You know that.
I do know that, but in case this is the first episode they listen to.
Yeah, you're right.
Which, it could be. Our highest listened to episode of You and Me at the moment is the Priscilla episode.
Hell yeah, everyone should listen to the Priscilla episode.
Yeah.
We have good opinions.
Exactly. The Priscilla episode and the Hunger Games episode. People
I also love that one, yeah.
really dug. Yeah, I was trying to convince Joseph about how good the new Hunger Games was, and he's just like, I don't know, I've never seen any of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Joseph, if you're listening, get with the fucking program.
Yeah. Catch up on these.
I just reread The Hunger Games this
book?
week. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did.
Yeah.
What did tell the audience what you thought of the book?
Well, it was the original Hunger Games, like The Hunger Games, the first one. I really loved it. It was good.
Did your opinion?
It meant more to me as an adult than it did as a kid.
It meant more to you now.
Yeah.
When you first read it, did you read the book then see the movie, or did you read the book? Okay. Do you think that your opinion of the movie has changed in any way from reading the book? Like,
yeah,
think it's better or worse?
Yeah, they left out a lot of stuff. But anyway, we're here to talk about
we are here
Child's
to talk
Play.
Child's Play. Chucky. When I was a kid, I didn't know.
How's it hanging, Phil?
How's it hanging, Phil? I didn't know that this franchise was called Child's Play. I just thought
neither.
I thought it was just called Chucky.
Yeah.
Chucky 1.
Well, later
Chucky
on,
2.
they have like Bride of Chucky and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I got the movie list up here. So the next one we got to watch is Child's Play 3, then Bride of Chucky, then Seed of Chucky, Curse of Chucky, Cult of Chucky.
I really don't like the title Seed of Chucky.
Well,
no, I know it's about like his doll child or whatever, but I don't like Seed.
What would you have called it?
Spawn of Chucky. I think that's funny.
Spawn of Chucky. Spawn of Chucky is funnier. Yeah, it's more like demony.
Yeah, because when I think of Seed, like Seed is just gross.
Yeah. Anyway, we're specifically talking about Child's Play 2. We just finished watching it. We watched the first. Neither of us had seen any of the movies really in their totality. I mean, when I was a kid, like my mom's watched it, and like there were little clips on TV, and I found it scary. Not as scary as some other things. Mm-hmm. Like Chucky was never as scary as like whenever they were watching like Alien or
that's fair.
Like something more like I definitely did find him creepy, but we watched the first Child's Play a few months ago for the first time. We both really enjoyed it.
A lot more than I thought.
Yeah,
I would.
Definitely. That movie, we didn't record an episode about it. Yeah, no, it was like, I feel like both of us were surprised by just how like, by kind of like effective some of the creepy parts were.
Yeah.
And how threatening Chucky actually was in that movie.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that cut us off guard. We didn't expect him to be as big as he was.
Yeah, why is he like toddler sized?
Yeah, he's huge.
He's genuinely toddler sized. Every time, it's hard to tell the scale sometimes because the main kid Andy is so little. But every time an adult picks him up, I'm like shocked at how large he is.
Yeah, like he could 100% do some damage.
Yeah.
And how quick and nimble he is.
Oh my
too.
god, yeah.
He can really move around like quick and efficiently.
He really can.
That's what makes him scarier. But yeah, no. So we both liked it. I reread the recap of the first movie real quick before we started, just to like remind myself what happened in the first movie. And I feel like I would have liked a little like recap at the beginning of this.
Last time on Chucky.
Last time, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, you get the gist of it.
We didn't talk about what teas we're drinking.
Oh yes, let's talk about our teas.
Yes.
What tea are you drinking?
I'll go first. I'm drinking Bigelow green tea with some sugar. Did you do the decaf or the regular one for me?
Decaf.
Okay, perfect.
Of course.
Because it's nighttime.
It is nighttime. It's 10:46 night movie game.
Yeah. What do you got?
I got. What do you think of your tea? First off, is it good?
Yeah, why?
Okay, I'm just making sure. Want the audience to know.
Oh yeah, green tea's always kick ass.
Yeah. I'm drinking Yogi Honey Chai Turmeric Vitality Tea, a sweet and spicy blend to support overall health.
Oh, is that the one I got for you for Christmas?
It is.
Is it good?
It is good. It's very earthy.
Do you like it though?
I do like it. Yes. It tastes like I'm drinking vegetables. Like I feel very healed with every sip.
Whenever I pick out new tea for you, it's literally just whatever I don't like. I'm like that. He would love that.
Yeah. When it comes to drinks, we don't have a lot of crossover.
No.
We like very different things in our hot and cold beverage. Yeah. So with Chucky 2, we're gonna kind of go through the plot. Spoilers ahead. Do you want to start us off with kind of how this movie begins? And
yeah.
We'll just kind of go into it from what we remember.
So the first one ends... Well, the first one is about Andy, the little kid, and his mom.
Andy Barkley.
Yeah. And so Andy has the doll. The mom, like, doesn't believe him that it's evil, whatever. By the end, Chucky is technically destroyed. And then in this movie, we pick up with Andy again... But his mom has been put in like a psych hold, because she's telling everyone that like the doll did all the murder.
Yeah.
And so Andy's put in a foster home, which is sad as fuck.
Yeah, it's real depressing vibes.
It really is.
No fun.
He's put so he's put in an orphanage and then placed in a foster home with, her name was Joanne, I think. It was Joanne and Phil.
Yeah, Joanne and Phil.
Yeah.
Simpson.
With Joanne and Phil, who are two foster parents, and then there's another foster kid in their care named Kyle, who she's like 17.
Yeah, she says like in 3 weeks or whatever I'm going to be out of here.
In a year, yeah.
So.
And she has been with them for 3 weeks up until that point when Andy comes there. And basically, we pick up with Chucky being put back together in the like good guys company, like warehouse,
hospital, laboratory set up,
and then he escapes and is basically trying to find Andy. He finds Andy. He does a bunch of murder, which ends up getting Phil killed, and then Kyle starts to believe him about like what's happening with the doll
because she finds the other doll, because there was another doll in the orphanage's house.
In the foster home.
In the foster home's house, presumably from another foster kid of past who like left it there, or like just something that Joanne bought because the room is full of toys. But
that's a real doll, not like a possessed doll.
Yeah, it's not a possessed doll. It's just like another. It's still creepy.
Yeah.
The doll's name is Tommy. I love the little moment where Chucky just like, shut the fuck up, you idiot.
Yeah, because Chucky, when he gets to the foster home, he disposes of Tommy and buries him in the backyard, and then when Kyle goes out to the backyard after Phil has been killed, she discovers the body half buried of Tommy, who is the other doll, and like puts it together, and then Chucky basically takes her hostage to try to get back to Andy, because at this point, after Phil is killed, Andy is sent back to the orphanage, and then Kyle is like taking Chucky back to the orphanage to like track down Andy, because it's like a hostage situation. And then when Kyle gets there, they pull the fire alarm
at the orphanage.
Orphanage, and then Andy, Chucky, Kyle, and the like head lady of the orphanage go into her office, and like Chucky kills her and then tries to kill Andy, and then how do they find themselves? They find themselves back at the...
They end up at the Good Guy Factory. Chucky's riding on the back of Andy like Yoda with a knife to his throat.
Oh, yeah.
And they're on the back of a truck, and Kyle chases down this truck, and they end up basically like this truck crash. Like Kyle crashes this truck, gets in front of the truck driver, basically in front of the Good Guys factory. Yeah. And that's how they end up there. And they have a final, before we get into the final boss fight of this movie, another important scene is the teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Where like basically Andy's in the classroom, and like Chucky broke into the school, before class, which I love. Like when the bus came to pick up Andy, you see Chucky's little feet going up in the back of the bus.
Yeah, he's always kicking them feet.
Exactly, he's kicking a lot in this movie. Whenever he's on somebody's back, he does this like frantic kick move that's so funny. But yeah, no, he writes fuck you bitch on
on Andy's
like test picture thing.
Yeah.
And the teacher locks Andy in the fucking classroom as punishment.
Yeah, like during detention, but he's by himself, and she puts the Chucky doll in the closet.
Yeah. Which is crazy. And then Andy breaks out the window, which is smart. Like he makes, he opens the window and escapes, and then Chucky kills the teacher, which that's probably my favorite kill of the movie. Just like that whole scene was really funny. Chucky coming out of the closet with the yardstick, it's all bloody. But yeah, no, the final boss fight.
Yeah, so the final boss fight, Kyle, Andy, and Chucky are in the like warehouse where they make the good guys dolls, and Chucky is trying to get into, basically do the little like voodoo thing, like ritual thing to get into,
speaking French.
Yeah, to get into to switch bodies basically with Andy, because he doesn't want to be a doll anymore. He needs to be like a person. But it doesn't work. And then Kyle helps Andy run, like drops a bunch of good guy dolls on Chucky. And then they end up in like the factory room, like where they make the dolls, and there's all these like conveyor belts with doll parts and stuff, and it's really fucking creepy.
And like boiling plastic and acid and shit.
Yeah, it's like very dangerous.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, and it's like way more like high tech than
there's
has
no
any right to be.
There's no OSHA regulations in this place.
No, it's so dangerous.
And so they're running from Chucky, and they like there's this big final boss fight where Chucky is kind of killed multiple times. There were three times.
There were lots of fake outs.
Yeah.
The best thing about the scene though is when Chucky gets his knife hand.
Yeah.
That shit was so cool.
Yeah.
And because like it's really cool. I like how Chucky's motivation changes after he fails switching bodies, because the whole thing is like he waited too long. Like he waited so long that like he's now stuck in the doll body, and he gets his hand like snapped off by this like machine that Kyle clamps down on his hand, and Chucky rips it off, and then he like shoves this knife into it and has a knife hand, and it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, and if there's one thing I know about LC, it's that he loves like a demon arm, or like an arm accessory.
Any character that has like a robot arm or like some kind of replacement like type thing, I'm here for it.
Like Princess Mononoke.
Princess Mononoke is a big one. Demon arm. In Mad Max.
Luke
Skywalker, yes, and Anakin. The Winter Soldier, big fan of that character just for that reason. Fucking what's it called? There was a really shitty animated TV show I grew up with called the Eon Kid, where like he had like a rope, like basically like a robot arm glove attached to his arm, and he could transform. And like, I feel like Ben 10 should count in this category.
Yeah, Ben 10 is like kind of.
Yeah. Because like, I like the idea that a character only has powers because of their arm, and if you remove their arm, they're like, if you cut Ben 10's arm off, there's nothing left he can do.
Yeah. So yeah, he gets the knife arm, and that's when his motive turns to vengeance. At that point, he just wants to fucking kill Andy.
He's just
because
so enraged.
He's so goddamn mad.
Yeah. The madder Chucky is in this movie, the more fun.
Yeah.
He is for sure. But yeah, no. So during this final boss fight, basically, they trap Chucky to go back into like this like body assembly chamber.
It's like really warm, like it's like steam in there.
It's like a melt body assembly chamber for the good guy dolls, and seemingly he's defeated at that moment, because what comes out is like a bloody mix of doll and like because like I like the mechanic of the more Chucky, like his internal body is becoming more human as it goes. Like he's bleeds.
Yeah, he starts to bleed and stuff. Yeah,
and he has organs and shit, and so like it's a bloody plasticky mess. And then
it's exactly what I told you this when we were watching it, but it's exactly like how I picture if in Monsters Inc. when there's the trash compactor scene and Sully really fucking thinks that Boo has been like turned into a cube.
Yeah.
Chucky looks like how that would actually look if
Absolutely.
like a human person was like trash compacted.
Yeah, it's really gross. It's a great effect. I mean, I feel like overall in this movie and the last one, the practical effects are really good.
Yeah, and the like Chucky animatedness, like how they did his face and stuff, is really good.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's animatronics or a puppet or what.
It's a combination. There's some puppets. There's some like small person in a suit. There's some like just straight up like kind of high tech. Like there's a lot of different techniques, but I mean it looks great all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you were saying, I feel like this movie they really improved like the animatronics in his face. Like I feel like his like upper lip has a lot more motion and can like,
and his eyes too.
Yeah.
Like his eyes were creasing a lot more, and like his nose was scrunched up.
Yeah. I'm excited as we go through this franchise to see how that part of the technology evolves, because the most recent movie in this franchise I think came out, I mean there's also the current TV show, but like the most recent movie I think came out in 2013 or something.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so it turns out he's not dead. They just cut off his legs.
Yep.
So like his upper torso is attached to like a little wheel cart, and he's still coming for Andy. So then they cover him in like the plastic acid, and they think that he's dead then, but nope, one more double triple fake out.
Yep.
So like they explode his head with like this like gas tube. Yeah, no, and that's the end of the movie. Andy, yeah, that's where it ends pretty much, just with them walking out of
walking out of the factory.
And Chucky killed Kyle and Andy's foster parents.
Just Phil.
No, he
killed Joanne too. I forgot.
He killed Joanne off screen. We didn't get to see that.
That's why
we didn't get to see that whole fight. But yeah, no. So like that's the movie. And what did you? I guess removed from the first one, what did you think of this one? Like, did you enjoy it?
I really liked this one. I think the first one is gonna ultimately be my favorite so far. I did really love this like final boss fight in the factory. It was really creepy, and there were a lot of ways that I just love like a scene like that where there's a lot of ways you can be fucked with. Like anything could have happened in there with the different mechanics going on with like the factory working and stuff. Like there's so many ways to get hurt in that scenario. So like it was cool. I love the way that the characters used like parts of the factory.
Yeah.
Like the conveyor belt stuff to like fight each other.
There was a lot better like utility of environments.
Yeah.
I mean, there were also just more environments, period. Like I feel like the spectacle is upped in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Probably because they got a bigger budget, because the first one was...
Right.
I didn't even look at it. I presume the first one was a success with the amount of, like, spinoffs and shit that it got.
Yeah. I mean, this one was released only 2 years later, so, like...
Yeah, no, they sped it up real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, there was more locations. Like, I feel like in the first one, it was mostly, like...
a car, and then inside.
And Andy's mom's apartment,
yeah.
pretty much. Whereas, like, this, we got the factory, and we got the school, the orphan, like a lot of different locations. Speaking of which, talking about the factory, that like opening, like what was that hospital room?
Yeah, in the opening when they're putting Chucky back together, it's like a doll hospital.
Yeah.
They even had him like hooked up to a monitor like he was a little person. It was really funny.
It was crazy.
And also I found it interesting how in that scene we see how the eyes are put back into the dolls, and then later on we see that again in the factory scene.
Chekhov's eye machine.
Yeah, with the worker who like comes down to fix the machine. And then that was stupid, first of all. The way that the worker just like goes into the machine to fix it.
He had to get into the worst position.
Right. He was like underneath the like eye placer machine, as if that wasn't going to be really bad.
As if Chucky wasn't going to just be there to fucking push him
Well, even
in.
still, even without Chucky, like, if it started working, which it did, like, he got his eyes popped out. But yeah, that was really, like, Chekhov's eye thing.
Absolutely. There was, like, there was a lot of foreshadowing with that, which I didn't even really pick up on.
Yeah.
The hospital was really funny. What did you think of like the characters and performances in this one. I feel like the kid who plays Andy was really good.
He was really good.
Yeah.
He's also really adorable.
He is
He's
really
like a cute little kid.
Yeah.
I liked the characters. I feel like the characters got deeper in this one than they did in the first one. Because in the first one, you just have the cop who believes the mom, and then the mom, and then Andy, really.
Yeah. And then the mom's friend, who was Chucky's first kill.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But I really liked Kyle, the like 17-year-old foster kid.
Mm-hmm.
She was really nice to Andy, and also like her style was very impeccable.
Yeah,
she's very NB coded.
Always just the best fits.
Yeah,
constantly.
And then I fucking hated Phil.
Yeah, fuck
Phil.
Phil
Sucks.
Anybody named Phil? We're watching through Modern Family right now, and
and Phil fucking makes me so goddamn angry.
How's it good Phil? Yeah, he's just mean to Andy straight up.
Yeah.
Like from the moment he gets there.
He doesn't even fucking want him there.
Yeah, you had a theory about like the dynamic behind these foster parents.
Yeah, I mean like it was very clear to me. And it was kind of confirmed later when they're talking shit about Andy and like having the fight about Andy later on. But the dynamic seems to be that like Joanne and Phil, for whatever reason, can't have their own children because when Andy asks her who she's gonna like pass down the family heirloom statue thing to, she like gives like this painful look at Phil. So the vibe was that like she can't have her own children, or they can't have their own children, and so they foster kids. And it really seemed like to me that it was like Phil just like goes along with this like fostering kids thing to like placate Joanne. Like he doesn't really seem like he gives much of a shit about that. And that was pretty apparent later on when they're fighting about whether Andy is actually a good fit for them, and he's just like being an asshole to Joanne and basically saying like, oh, you just like him, you're not seeing like what a bad kid he is or whatever. And I feel like that's a shit reason to foster children.
Yeah.
And like Phil just sucks.
Absolutely. All foster parents just need to be like the parents in Shazam.
Yeah, they're so nice.
The foster parents in Shazam are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Because like they both were also foster kids, you know, and shit. We should do a Shazam episode. No, I'm kidding. Phil sucked. Joanne, I thought Joanne was nice, but the more I thought about it, like, yeah, she's also projecting her own.
Right, she's projecting her own shit onto the foster kids. And also, like, if you're married to a shithead, that also makes you, like, a shithead by proxy. You know what I mean? Like,
staying in it for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of expected when we met Kyle for there to be, like, way more foster kids.
Yeah, me too.
I expected a squad.
A squad. Like a Shazam squad.
A Shazam squad to go against Chucky. What did you think about, I know we've talked about him a little bit already, but like, what did you think about Chucky in this movie versus the first one?
I love him. He's so crazy.
He's such a fun character.
He really is. And like, I really like all the little quips he had. Like when he tripped Phil and he was hanging upside down, he's like, "How's it hanging, Phil?" It's so fucking funny.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I love a cheesy villain that has like quips.
I think I just a part of like what this is gonna sound maybe a little bit messed up. I just love how much he clearly enjoys just being a little fucker.
Oh yeah,
and killing people.
Yeah,
he's just got a lot of enthusiasm, and it's the same thing. Like we were talking about it in while we were watching the movie. Is like with these kind of horror movies where it's like a serial killer mixed with like a mystic thing. Ghostface, Freddy Krueger, and Chucky. The fact that they all like, you know, talk. With Ghostface, like he only talks on the phone, but all of them have such a distinct personality.
Yeah,
and they're all like really funny.
They really are.
It just
also the Evil Dead demon.
Yeah, the Deadites definitely factor in there too. Just like this kind of like it all does kind of spawn from like the 80s, 90s like cheesy, you know, meta thing, which, you know, I love. Like this is like straight up like my favorite type of movie.
Yeah, really.
Just all work so much better than you know, we've only watched the first Halloween. You and me have only watched the first Halloween.
Yeah. And
then I've seen the first of the new reboot ones. And then we watched the first few Friday the 13th.
They're so fucking lame.
So boring.
I know that's not a popular opinion, but they were not very interesting to me.
Yeah, and I think a part of it is just the villains are just so much less interesting.
Yeah, because they got no personality.
Yeah.
And like I I really love like a villain that's not perfect and like doesn't and like has a little bit of like that funny personality that you get in those cheesy movies, like the Deadites in Evil Dead, which even in the new one that we saw, they're all silly. Like they're just here to fuck around, and I really like that. Yeah. And like Ghostface in every iteration of Scream is just here to fuck around. Like he's just fucking around, and that's always just so funny to me.
Yeah, it just automatically adds a lot of levity to what could, like, I don't know, by the subject matter already, it kind of would just be dark because it's, horror movie about killing people. But I don't know. I feel like if you're going to have, I'm just trying to think, like, I guess some of the first Halloween does it well as far as, like, I don't know, like, if you're going to have a killer that is silent, I guess you kind of have to do more with it as far as, like, the making you a lot more genuinely invested in the tone. Like, a part of it could just be that we watched this recently, but I think about like the first Alien.
Yeah.
Like I guess if it is like the spectacle comes more from like how serious you take the creature.
Yeah.
And like the world being super atmospheric being like a big part of it. Like, I don't know.
I also think that part of what makes those villains that are like a little bit goofy better as well is that like it's like a meta moment to acknowledge how ridiculous it is that like there's a serial killer in a doll. Like it's just really funny to like acknowledge every once in a while, like, yeah, it is weird that like this boiler room guy visits teenagers in their dreams, like in Freddy Krueger, like it's every time there's like a little moment of levity in those movies, it's like, yeah, it is silly that this man like puts his tongue through the phone. Like, that is silly.
Yeah, it is goofy. Well, there is just like such a fine line between horror and comedy. Like, I forget what I was watching, but it was this video that was talking about the fact that, like, getting a laugh out of somebody and getting, like, a scare out of someone is a very similar, like, feeling. Like, oftentimes, like, I feel like when people are scared or when people are nervous, like, a lot of times someone's response might be to laugh.
Yeah.
Just because of the tension. That's kind of like a tension and release. And it's the same principle with comedy. And that's why like horror and comedy kind of, go so hand in hand.
Yeah.
And why a lot of these long franchises will kind of dip and bow between being super serious or super goofy. And, the Alien movies being a good example because like we haven't watched it yet, but like Alien 4 is goofy.
Yeah.
And I'd also argue that like Alien vs Predator, which we watched relatively recently, is like on the goofier side.
Yeah.
Of like kind of making fun of the whole thing. So so you still sticking with the first one being liking it better than this one?
I think I like the action in this one better. But I think the first one, you had talked about it earlier, like there's more of the tension building in the first one, because the first one you get to have the Chucky reveal versus this one, by the time you get to the second movie, his vibe.
Yeah, you know what's going on with him. I mean, you know that Chucky's a thing because the first movie opens up with Charles Lee Ray, the human, like, putting himself into the doll, but you don't get to see the result of that till later. And I think, as I've been thinking about it when I reread the plot for the first one, I think that I liked Chucky had a whole plot in the first one, separate from just trying to, like, possess Andy. Like, the first thing Chucky wanted to do in the first one was kill his partner who, like, fucked him over before, and then he goes after the voodoo man. Whereas, like, in this movie, it's all just Chucky trying to get Andy.
Yeah. Which makes sense because at this point he just wants to be in a human body. Yeah.
No, it's definitely a much simpler movie. I mean, it's funny because the movie was really short.
Yeah.
It's less than an hour and a half. It's like an hour 24 minutes. And then the first one I looked up the runtime and it's the same length, which in my brain I was like,
the first one feels a lot longer.
More plot happens in the first one. For sure. I think a part of that just being there's a lot less scenes in my mind in the first one of Chucky scenes of like him doing crazy, whereas like in this one I feel like there's a lot more Chucky kills, there's a lot more like of him doing stuff, which is fun. I feel like Right now, I think I kind of prefer this one just as like a fun time.
Yeah.
Just like a little bit. I think the first one is still like a really, really good introduction, but this one I think I just had a little more fun.
Yeah, that's fair. I did want to talk about my first introduction to Chucky, because while I had not seen these movies until you and I had, when I was a little kid, I knew of Chucky. I also didn't know that the movies were called Child's Play. But
do you think that's a better or worse title?
I think it's better because I like the pun.
Yeah,
I think it's cute. But when I was really little, I had like a really strong fear of dolls. That was like very like I had like a visceral reaction to like seeing dolls. And my mom knew this, and like my family knew this, and I would have like nightmares about dolls. And when my mom and I would go to the mall, sometimes like we would go into Spencer's, like you know, the safe part of Spencer's.
Yeah.
But when we were kids, Chucky was still very much in the like cultural zeitgeist, more so than he is now. I feel like, but Spencer's used to sell the life-size Chucky dolls in the packaging, and they would be on the top shelves, like lining like a shelf at the store, and I would have to like not look up. So I would be there with my mom, just like looking at the floor, like refusing to look up, because I knew that if I looked up, I'd have multiple nightmares. Like the idea of Chucky was so scary to me, and like dolls in general were really, really frightening to me, probably through high school, to be honest. Like Annabelle, because when we were in high school, Annabelle and shit was like,
fuck Annabelle,
was like coming out and all that. That fucked me up pretty bad. And now, like, as a full adult, it's not something that freaks me out nearly as much. Like, I'm not gonna buy a doll at a thrift store, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna ever have one in our home.
Yeah.
But I'm also like, I can watch this stuff and not be afraid like I used to be. And I just think it's so funny how we can like revisit things that we were scared of as kids and like see them so differently now. Because like if I told my 5-year-old self, if I went back in time and told my 5-year-old self like, hey, we just watched the Chucky movie, my 5-year-old self would have shit their pants.
Yeah. Or just like any of some of the movies we watch now. Like if your 5-year-old self had seen The Thing.
Oh my god. There are so many movies that I'm like, thank God this was not the one that scarred me when I was little. Because I had seen Nightmare on Elm Street too young. But thankfully it was that and not like fucking The Thing.
Yeah. The one that really got me when I was too young, that I distinctly have memories of, my mom was like so pissed that she like let us rent it from Blockbuster, was we rented The Fly on DVD, because like I thought the cover was cool, and man, was that a mistake.
Yeah.
That and Alien too, both of them. Like I thought the covers just looked so cool.
Yeah. They
both have a similar vibe, but like the Fly's
sci-fi,
you know, coming out of the, you know, because I love sci-fi and creatures, and you know, it fucked me up real bad. But now I can look back at it and be like, oh man, cool. But there is like a little part of me when I revisit this stuff where like the little kid fear kind of sneaks its way back in.
That like visceral like monkey brain fear. Yeah.
I think it's a big part of why I can't play Alien Isolation.
Oh my god.
If I didn't have like the latent childhood fear of that fucking creature, then I would be able to get through that game. But I turned 5 years old again when I try to play that game. I'm just like, nope.
It is really funny how there's just certain things where like it's like your human brain turns off and the monkey like brain, the like, you know, the evolution brain turns on, and you're just like, I can't handle this, because that happens to me with shit like that too. Like when you were playing Alien Isolation that time and we were like trying to get through it and we were like, nope, can't do it.
Yeah. I kind of want someone else to sit and play Alien Isolation while I watch.
Yeah, I think that feels safer.
Yeah. Or, you know, they have Alien Isolation VR. Right?
No.
No, couldn't fucking be me. But yeah, no, with what you were saying, it made me realize, I also think that the Chucky movies, like the idea of Chucky, even before I, you know, seeing it like when I was a kid, knowing about it, it made me actively not want action figures.
Aww.
Because like I've told you, like growing up, all my toys were like I had like Power Ranger morphers that I would wear, or like I had like the sword or the gun from the cartoon or whatever. I never bought action figures or figurines. I always wanted like props and like items.
That makes sense.
And a part of it one was how I liked to play as a kid, just like imagine putting myself into the world. But I think honestly, shit like Chucky was a shit like Chucky was a big part of why I never into action figures. Because what if they come to life at night and fuck me up? Even
that's fair.
Honestly, admittedly, even Toy Story, even though it freaked me out on a conceptual level a little bit, because like I'd leave the room, or like at night I'd be staring at like my shelf because they still have Transformers.
Yeah,
Transformers were the exception. I'd look at Optimus Prime on the shelf and I'd be like, "You gonna move, motherfucker?"
That's funny because I had an opposite effect with Toy Story where I was just really afraid that my toys, because I had a lot of stuffed animals because I've always loved animals. I was afraid that if I didn't have them all on the bed with me, like at night, like if I wasn't cuddling with all of them every night, they would get sad because they're like in Toy Story, like if you don't play with them, they're gonna get sad.
You'd be like Wheezy up in the corner.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't let any of my toys do that, so I would pile them all onto my bed and be like, they all have to be up here. And then when I woke up in the morning and like saw that some of them had fallen on the ground, I would feel so bad.
Like,
because I would be like, oh my God, that poor, like whatever it was like, that poor teddy bear was like laying on the ground cold and crying alone. So I think that's funny that we both interpreted that differently. Like I interpreted it as like, I need to love them all equally or else they're going to be sad. And then you were like,
I don't trust you.
I don't trust you.
Pretty much, exactly. Yeah, so funny. So I guess the last the new bit we're doing for the movies. Yes. What prop would you want from this movie to put on the shelf? Speaking of props,
does it have to be something that I put on the shelf? Or could it be something I would wear?
Something you'd wear? Oh, absolutely. It can be
okay.
A clothing item. Oh, which, there's a lot of options.
I want Joanne's sweater.
Yeah.
The one with, like, it had, like, farm animals on it.
She wears in the kitchen.
Yeah. It looked like a hand-knit sweater. It looked great. I want that.
That's a really good one.
I hope I thrift something similar someday.
What would I want from this movie?
Demon arm?
Well, yeah, part of me was going to say the Chucky... If they're like the Chucky like doll or puppet with the knife arm, but that's automatically like cursed.
You're not allowed to have that in our house.
Exactly, because he's gonna come alive. Plus, I wouldn't want that either. As far as like, I don't know, I kind of liked. Let me think. Maybe something from the factory, like maybe something from like when the factory hospital, the EKG machine.
the doll EKG machine.
The doll EKG.
That's funny.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, what was in Andy's room that was pretty cool? His bed, his like quilt blanket.
That's really cute.
Was really nice.
Yeah.
But I had another thought too. Shit, that was like, the best one. Maybe like the Tommy doll's crushed head. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know. There's a lot. I had one in my brain and now it escaped me. I know. I want the fuck you teacher like paper to hang on the wall.
That would be pretty cute.
The test. That's what I want. The fuck you teacher paper to put on the wall.
Hell yeah.
But yeah. Short episode today. For Child's Play 2. It's getting kind of late. It's almost 11:30. Almost midnight movie gang. I might attach this onto another episode or make it a bonus Patreon content. Not yet. That about wraps it up. You'll probably hear from Courtney again on the Saltburn episode. Maybe we might make it a triple with me, you, Joseph, talking about Saltburn.
Talking about how hot Jacob Elordi is.
Talking about how just like he just melts the screen, really. Yeah. Just devastating.
Yeah. Yeah, it is devastating how hot he is.
Yeah, no, it really is. Like I feel like fucking Oliver in the movie.
Yeah. I don't blame him.
Yeah, I drink the bath water. Maybe, who knows?
Oh my god!
If it was a cleaner tub, not our tub, our tub.
Damn! Hope our landlords aren't listening.
Oh no. Anyway, yeah, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for listening to Midnight Movie Gang, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
So, here we go. Child expectations and complexes which the police are searching for James Thomas, believed to be the lover of Miss Williams, and her partner in the horrible murder of Walter. Where's everybody? They're not here. They're all gone. Oh, please tell me where they've gone. Please tell me. Sorry, I don't know. How long is it? How could I got in here? 3 tickets to Albany on 6 o'clock train tonight. What do you think? Special agent, special agent.